Our reading today comes from Leah Angiri, The Complexity of Motherhood. On Mother's Day, let us mark how beautiful and complex it can be to be a mother and to be mothered. To those who have mothered, we thank you. To those who rejoice in the work, the role, the presence of mothering and mothers, we celebrate with you. To those who are in the thick of parenting children of any age, we appreciate you. To those who experience loss through infertility, abortion, miscarriage, adoption, or running away, we mourn with you. To those who have lost their mothers, we grieve with you. To those who have endured abuse at the hands of their mothers, we acknowledge you. For those who experience pain at the marking of this day, we witness you. To those who are single moms, grandmoms, stepmoms, foster moms, adoptive moms, mentor moms, and spiritual moms, we need you. And to those who are pregnant with new life, both expected and surprising, we anticipate with you. May we reflect with gratitude on the wide spectrum of mothering that happens in our lives and in our communities. And now we'll hear from Reverend G.
Good morning and welcome. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful day. Happy Mother's Day. And if you're only joining us, I am indeed Reverend G, minister here at the Unitarian Universalist Community Church. You are joining us maybe online or in person. I am coming to you via Zoom because this past week I was exposed to COVID, and as an abundance of caution, I decided to Zoom in from home. I'm feeling fine though, so no problems. Next week, I shall be with you in person if all goes well. So Mother's Day is today, and as Pat mentioned it, it is a bittersweet celebration day because of our varied relationships with our mothers. And usually it's the day we take our mothers out to brunch. If they passed, then we remember them. Our grief is renewed. And for that, we buy, of course, elaborate cards and flowers and gift our mothers with them. And for that, we have Hallmark to thank. The original Mother's Day goes back in history a little bit, and its purpose was so different, so radical, so exceptional. And it takes us back to a fairly well-known person in history, Julia Ward Howe. She's well known because she wrote the battle for the revolution, the battle cry for the revolution, and it became the unofficial anthem for the Union soldiers. And she lived through the Civil War. And by the way, in adulthood, she was raised Episcopalian, and in adulthood, she became Unitarian in Boston. Her history, her story is so interesting, and there's a biography that was written of her. There were two written. The first one was written by her two daughters, and the second one written by a historian. And I recommend the second one. It's outstanding and really makes her very real, her humanity very real. And someday I would like to talk about that as well. She lived through the Civil War, and it affected her, obviously. And she visited troops, and she became radicalized for peace. And in 1873, she proclaimed a revolution, and she wanted the goal of this revolution to be peace, and she called it Mother's Day revolution. She called mothers to come unite and march for peace and work for peace and advocate for peace and do everything they can so their sons would not need to die in wars, shed blood, lose limbs, be injured, die, and be affected for a lifetime due to the battlefield. That was her goal. She was she was a radical mother, a revolutionary who had enough and who also had the ability to hold a greater vision, to hold in her mind an outcome that would enrich this world that we live in. And her vision today must be kept alive exactly because of the times that we live in. We live in a time when our liberties are being infringed upon. War is always knocking at the door. So may we today give life to her vision, to the spirit in which she first called for the first Mother's Day. And may we be the people who are willing to mother all, mother they, mother them, those people, to understand that if there is a child today who has no peace, then there's no child on earth that has peace. May we be gifting life to the spirit in which she envisioned this revolutionary day of peace, calling for peace. So may we unite like that. Of course, because we are all products of our environment, and because we have lived in this time when Mother's Day morphed, and it morphed into, of course, a celebration of motherhood. Both are alive in us. So we, of course, celebrate, and because of it, we also have very conflicted feelings. Because mothers are you and I. And we are flawed human beings. And just because we bring a child into the earth, into the world, it doesn't mean that we are ready for it. It doesn't mean that our past, our history, the way we were mothered and parented will not seep into how we parent. And in many instances, of course, we improve on our mothering and then we fail. And then it's conflicted because some mothers are taken early. It's conflicted because some mothers lose their children. Because some mothers have unwanted children. And so on and so forth. So it can be painful. It's a difficult day. Nonetheless, may we find meaning today. A meaning that we can carry into tomorrow, into a day after tomorrow. And may we be revolutionary people who are willing to stand for that which is right, willing to stand for peace, willing to stand for human rights, for women's rights. Just like Pat said, now Roe versus Wade is in danger. Who would have thought that we would have to fight this once again? So may we be the mothers, the revolutionaries, the people who come together and fight for that which is right. My friend and mentor, Martha Creek, wrote a beautiful piece for Mother's Day. And I would like to share that with you. Because she says it so much better than I can. And it is meaningful, and I hope that you find meaning in it as well. Despite the sentiment attached to Mother's Day, this can be a complicated day, bringing up grief if your mother has died, and mixed feelings of all sorts. No mother is perfect, and some are a lot less than perfect. Mother-child relationships can be complicated, wonderful, excruciating, and growth-producing even in adulthood. Please join with me to confer blessings and send energy and good vibes through our hearts to the heart of humanity, mothers, and beyond. To those who gave birth this year to their first child, we celebrate you. To those who lost a child this year, we mourn with you. To those who are in the trenches with little ones every day and wear the badge of food stains, we appreciate you. To those who experienced loss through miscarriage, failed adoptions, or running away, we mourn with you. To those who walk the hard path of infertility, fraught with pokes, prods, tears, and disappointment, we walk with you. Forgive us when we say foolish things. We don't mean to make this harder than it is. To those who are foster moms, mentor moms, and spiritual moms, we need you. To those who have warm and close relationships with your children, we celebrate with you. To those who have disappointment, heartache, and distance with your children, we sit with you. To those who lost their mothers this year, we grieve with you. To those who experienced abuse at the hands of your own mother, we acknowledge your experience. To those who lived through driving tests, medical tests, and the overall testing of motherhood, we are better for having you in our midst. To those who are single and long to be married and mothering their own children, we mourn that life has turned out the way you longed for it to be. Hasn't turned out the way you longed for it to be. To those who step parent, we walk with you on these complex paths. To those who envisioned lavishing love on grandchildren, yet that dream is not to be, we grieve with you. To those who will have emptier nests in the upcoming year, we grieve and rejoice with you. To those who placed children up for adoption, we commend you for your selflessness and remember how you hold that child in your heart. And to those who are pregnant with new life, both expected and surprising, we anticipate with you. To those who wanted kids and weren't able to, and to those who didn't want kids and had them, this Mother's Day, we walk with you. Mothering is not for the faint of heart, and we have real warriors in our midst. We remember you. We can commend mothering for the ways it reflects the Imago Dei by bringing forth new life, nurturing those on her path, and living with the tension of providing both freedom and a safety net. And to those who are mothering pets like I am, we feel for you, we rejoice for you as well, and we acknowledge you. May this Mother's Day have a meaning deeper and wider than just brunch, cards, and a happy Mother's Day wishing. May this be revolutionary, awakening, and embracing of all of humanity, finally understanding that we are one and responsible for one another. Happy Mother's Day.